Have you ever stared into the eyes of someone who once shattered your world and held their beating heart in your hands? For Dr. Aurora Bennett, that moment arrived without warning on a Tuesday morning as she stood over the operating table, scalpel poised above the chest of the man who'd thrown her away like damaged goods. "Scalpel," she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. Just 9 years earlier, his cold voice had cut through her like the very instrument she now wielded. "You're barren, Aurora. Defective. I need a wife who can give me children." The memory burned as she made the first precise incision into Nathaniel Morgan's chest. The irony wasn't lost on her. The woman he'd discarded for being unable to have children was now the only person who could save his life. And upstairs, in the hospital cafeteria, sat the triplets he never knew existed, his children, with his eyes, his smile, his determination, being raised by the woman he'd called worthless. BP dropping. "We need to move faster," called the anesthesiologist. As Aurora fought to save her ex-husband's failing heart, one question consumed her: would she tell him about the children he never knew he had? Or would she simply heal his heart and walk away, keeping her most precious secret safe from the man who had proven he could destroy everything she loved? Sometimes the most important operations aren't performed with a scalpel, but with forgiveness. And sometimes, the heart that needs the most healing isn't the one beneath your fingers. If you believe in the power of second chances or wonder if some mistakes are too big to forgive, stay with me for a story about broken hearts, hidden truths, and the courage to love again. Hit that like button if you've ever had to face someone who broke your heart. Aurora Bennett's day began like any other. Her alarm blared at 5:30 a.m., pulling her from a dreamless sleep. The surgical schedule was light today, just 2 routine bypasses, which meant she might actually make it to Thomas's math competition by 4 p.m. She smiled at the thought of her son's face lighting up when he spotted her in the audience. She had missed too many of these moments during her residency years. The kitchen was quiet as she prepared lunches for the triplets. 3 identical metal lunchboxes, each with a small identifying mark, a blue star for Benjamin, a green lightning bolt for Thomas, and a purple heart for Mia. Inside each, she tucked a small note with words of encouragement. It was their ritual, these little messages that connected them through the school day when she couldn't be there. "Mom. Thomas took my history book." Mia's voice shattered the morning peace. "Did not. Mine's missing and you always leave yours everywhere," Thomas countered. Aurora sighed and headed toward the brewing sibling storm. Just another morning in the Bennett household. By 7:15, she dropped the children at school, kissing each one goodbye, reminding Thomas about his competition and promising to be there. She pulled into the hospital parking lot at 7:30, her mind already shifting to her patients. "Good morning, Dr. Bennett." The surgical floor nurses greeted her with respect that had been hard-earned over 6 grueling years. "Morning, everyone. How's Mrs. Abramson's recovery going?" "Excellent. Vitals are strong, and she's already complaining about the food." Aurora laughed. Always a good sign. She moved through her morning rounds with practiced efficiency, checking surgical sites, reviewing lab work, adjusting medications. Her reputation for meticulous care and brilliant technical skill had made her one of the most sought-after cardiac surgeons in the country. Patients requested her specifically, even traveling from other states for complex procedures. At 9:45, she was reviewing charts in her office when her phone rang. "Dr. Bennett, it's the ER. We have an incoming cardiac emergency, massive MI, male, 42. Paramedics report critical condition, probable need for immediate bypass. They're requesting you specifically." Aurora's focus sharpened. ETA. 8 minutes. Name is Morgan. Nathaniel Morgan. The world around her seemed to freeze. 9 years. It had been 9 years since she'd heard that name spoken aloud, 9 years since divorce papers had cited her defective reproductive system as grounds for dissolution, 9 years since the man she'd loved with every fiber of her being had called her worthless and barren before replacing her with someone who could fulfill her proper function. "Dr. Bennett? Are you there?" Her medical training took over, pushing aside the emotional tsunami. "Yes. Prep work 3. I'll be right down." Aurora's hands were steady as she reached for her white coat, but her mind was in free fall. Nathaniel Morgan. The man who had crushed her dreams, destroyed their marriage, and discarded her without a backward glance was now hurtling toward her hospital, his life hanging in the balance. As she rode the elevator down to the emergency department, memories flooded back. Their whirlwind romance, the grand wedding, 3 years of fertility treatments, and finally, that devastating final confrontation. The emergency bay doors slid open as the ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed in, working frantically over a stretcher. BP 90/60ths and dropping. Administered 2 rounds of AP en route. Aurora stepped forward, medical training overriding personal history. On the stretcher lay Nathaniel Morgan, his face ashen, oxygen mask obscuring features she once knew better than her own. His expensive suit had been cut away, defibrillator pads attached to his chest. He was unconscious, fighting for his life. "Get him 2 or 3 now," she ordered, following the stretcher through the corridors. In the scrub room, Aurora's mind raced as she methodically washed her hands, memories surfacing with each circular motion. She remembered their first meeting at a charity gala. Nathaniel Morgan, brilliant tech entrepreneur and heir to a family fortune, had been captivated by the young medical student with fiery determination and infectious laugh. Their courtship had been a whirlwind of private jets, 5-star restaurants, and passionate conversations that stretched into dawn. "You're different," he told her on their 3rd date. "Everyone else sees my money. You see me." The proposal came 6 months later, a helicopter ride to a private mountaintop where he'd arranged a candlelit dinner under the stars. "You make me want to be better," he'd said, going down on one knee. "Marry me, Aurora." The soap stung her eyes, bringing her back to the present. Or was it tears? Aurora blinked them away. No time for that now. A life hung in the balance, his life. The cosmic irony wasn't lost on her. "Dr. Bennett, patient is prepped and ready," called the surgical nurse. Aurora entered the operating room, her game face firmly in place. Status? Multiple blockages visible on the emergency angiogram. Left anterior descending artery is 95% occluded. Right coronary and circumflex showing 85% and 75% blockages, respectively. Textbook triple bypass candidate. Let's move quickly, people. This is going to be a complex procedure. As the anesthesiologist put Nathaniel under, Aurora found herself staring down at the unconscious face of the man who had once been her entire world. His features were harder now, deep lines etched around his mouth and eyes, the map of a difficult life or simply the toll of ruthless ambition. His dark hair was threaded with silver at the temples. He looked successful, powerful, and utterly vulnerable beneath her hands. "Scalpel," she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. For the next 6 hours, Aurora worked with meticulous precision, rerouting blocked arteries, creating new pathways for blood flow, essentially rebuilding the heart that had failed him, both medically and metaphorically. "Clamp. Suction here. More light, please." Her team moved in perfect synchronization, accustomed to her exacting standards. Every so often, she would glance up at the monitors, watching Nathaniel's vital signs for any change. Removing bypass, transitioning back to natural circulation. The moment of truth arrived as Aurora prepared to allow Nathaniel's heart to beat on its own again with its newly created pathways. Bypass off. Let's see what we've got. For 2 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then, with a steady rhythm, Nathaniel Morgan's reconstructed heart began to beat. "We have normal sinus rhythm," announced the anesthesiologist. Excellent work, everyone, Aurora said, allowing herself a moment of professional satisfaction. Let's close him up. As she placed the final sutures, Aurora felt the weight of the situation descend fully upon her. She had just saved the life of the man who had nearly destroyed hers. And somewhere in this same hospital, her children, his children, were waiting in the cafeteria with Mrs. Young, completely unaware that their father lay unconscious 2 floors below them. Final sutures complete, she announced. Excellent job, team. He should make a full recovery. As they prepared to move him to recovery, Aurora removed her surgical gloves and mask. Soon, the man who had discarded her as defective would wake to find her standing over his hospital bed. What would she say to him? What could she say? Dr. Bennett, a nurse approached. The patient's wife is demanding an update. She's been rather insistent. Wife. Of course. The replacement. Aurora had almost forgotten about Bianca. I'll speak with her shortly. In the surgical washroom, Aurora stared at her reflection. 9 years of building her career, raising her children alone, creating a life without Nathaniel Morgan. 9 years of triumph over the devastation he had caused. 9 years of keeping the secret that would turn his world upside down. Her pager beeped with a message from the school. Mrs. Young had picked up the children early due to a water main break at Westlake Academy. They were being brought to the hospital to wait for Aurora's shift to end. Perfect. Just perfect. Aurora made her way to the recovery room, studying the unconscious man before her. Nathaniel looked vulnerable, connected to monitors and 4 lines, nothing like the ruthless CEO who had once dismissed her so callously. His vitals are excellent, reported the recovery nurse. He should regain consciousness within the hour. Good. I'll be back to check on him. In the hallway, Aurora nearly collided with a woman whose designer maternity dress and perfectly styled blonde hair screamed old money and privilege. Excuse me, the woman said imperiously. Are you the surgeon who operated on Nathaniel Morgan? I'm Dr. Bennett. Mr. Morgan's cardiac surgeon. Mrs. Morgan, actually. Bianca Morgan. Her hand moved protectively to her swollen belly. I'm carrying his heir. The words hit Aurora like a physical blow, but her professional training kept her expression neutral. Congratulations. Your husband's surgery was successful. He should make a full recovery. When can he return to work? He has several important meetings this week. Aurora stared at this woman who spoke about major surgery like an inconvenient schedule conflict. Mrs. Morgan, your husband just underwent triple bypass surgery. He'll need at least a week in the hospital followed by several weeks of rehabilitation. That's impossible. He's launching a new investment fund next month. I'm sorry, but your husband nearly died today. His health must take priority. Bianca's face flushed with irritation. Do you understand who my husband is? I understand perfectly who he is, Aurora replied, the double meaning clear only to herself. He'll recover according to medical necessity, not business obligations. Something flickered in Bianca's eyes, a moment of recognition, perhaps. Bennett, that name sounds familiar. Aurora's heart skipped a beat. I need to check on other patients. You can see your husband once he's fully conscious. As Aurora walked away, she spotted Mrs. Young approaching with the triplets. Her heart raced with sudden panic. 9 years of careful separation between her past and present were about to collapse. Mama, called Mia, her artistic daughter with unruly curls rushing toward her. Behind her came Thomas, serious and analytical, and Benjamin, quiet and thoughtful. What are you doing here? Aurora asked, her heart pounding with the knowledge of who lay recovering just down the hall. Mrs. Young had to bring her mother for an appointment, so she brought us too, Thomas explained logically. We're supposed to wait in the family lounge until you're finished. Aurora knelt to her children's level, studying their faces, his eyes, his features, his mannerisms looking back at her. The resemblance was striking, especially now with Nathaniel fresh in her mind. "How was your big surgery, Mama?" Benjamin asked quietly. "It went well, sweetheart. The patient will be fine." "You look worried," observed Mia with her artist's eye for detail. "Did something happen?" "Sometimes helping people brings up complicated feelings. But I'm fine, and I'm glad to see you three." As Aurora hugged her children, she caught sight of Bianca Morgan watching them from down the hallway, her expression unreadable. Aurora's protective instincts flared. She needed to get the children away from here, away from Nathaniel, away from Bianca, away from the past that threatened to crash into their carefully constructed present. "Come on," Aurora said. "Let's get you some dinner from the cafeteria. It's on the other side of the hospital." As they walked, Mia skipped ahead, her curls bouncing with each step. "Mama, can I show you my new painting when we get home? It's for the school art show next week." "Of course, sweetheart. I can't wait to see it." Thomas, always practical, looked up at her. "Will you still make it to my math competition? It starts at 4. "Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. My teacher said I might win first place," he added, trying to sound casual though his pride shone through. "I'm not surprised. You've worked very hard." Benjamin, walking quietly beside her, slipped his small hand into hers. "Are you really okay, Mama? You seem sad." Aurora squeezed his hand. Of the three, Benjamin had always been the most intuitive, sensing emotions others missed. "I'm just tired, sweetheart. It was a long surgery." "Did you save them?" he asked. "Yes, I did." "Then you should be happy," he said with a child's simple logic. If only it were that simple, Aurora thought. If only saving Nathaniel Morgan's life didn't complicate her own so drastically. In the cafeteria, Aurora watched her children eat, their laughter and chatter a soothing balm to her frayed nerves. They were beautiful, these three miracles who had arrived against all odds. They were her redemption, her joy, her everything. And they were his, too, though he didn't know it. What would Nathaniel say if he knew? Would he try to claim them? Would he dismiss them as he had dismissed her? The thought of him rejecting her children made her blood boil. The thought of him wanting to be part of their lives was equally terrifying. "Dr. Bennett?" A nurse appeared at her table. "Your patient in recovery is waking up. He's asking for you specifically." Aurora's heart raced. "I'll be right there." "Mrs. Young, could you stay with the children a bit longer?" "Of course, Dr. Bennett. Take your time." Aurora kissed each child goodbye, promising to return soon, then headed toward the recovery room, each step feeling heavier than the last. Outside Nathaniel's room, she paused, gathering her professional composure. 9 years of anger, hurt, and secrets churned beneath her calm exterior. She took a deep breath and pushed open the door. Nathaniel Morgan was awake, his eyes, the same steel-blue eyes that Benjamin and Mia had inherited, focused immediately on her as she entered. "Welcome back, Mr. Morgan." His eyes widened with recognition. "Aurora?" "Dr. Bennett," she corrected, not moving closer. "I performed your cardiac surgery this afternoon. Triple bypass. The procedure was successful." Nathaniel stared, processing what he was seeing. "You're a doctor. A cardiac surgeon. Chief of surgery, actually. How? When did you?" "I completed medical school 4 years after our divorce. Finished my residency in record time." Her tone was clinical, giving away nothing of what she might be feeling. Nathaniel tried to sit up, but pain stopped him. "Aurora, I can't believe you saved my life. I did my job. Nothing more." "Your job." He could hear the ice in her voice. "Aurora, we need to talk. There's so much I need to say. We have nothing to discuss beyond your medical care." She moved to check his vital signs with practiced efficiency. "Your heart rate is elevated. You need to remain calm during recovery. How can I remain calm? My ex-wife just performed surgery on me. The woman you divorced for being barren, Aurora finished, emotion finally creeping into her voice. The woman you called defective. You were very clear about my inadequacies 9 years ago. Nathaniel closed his eyes, memories flooding back. I was wrong. About everything. Yes, you were. But that's ancient history. Is it? Because seeing you like this. Aurora, you're amazing. I became what I needed to be for myself and for, she caught herself. I don't need your validation or approval. Before Nathaniel could respond, the door opened and Bianca entered with the confidence of someone accustomed to getting her way. Nathaniel, darling, you're awake. She moved to his bedside, pointedly ignoring Aurora. When can my husband be discharged? We have commitments this week. Your husband will be discharged when he's medically ready, Aurora replied professionally. Not before. I don't think you understand the importance of my husband's schedule. And I don't think you understand the seriousness of his condition. He suffered a massive heart attack. His recovery can't be rushed for social obligations. Bianca's eyes narrowed. Nathaniel, who is this woman? She seems rather presumptuous. Nathaniel looked between his current wife and his ex-wife, feeling the tension crackling between them. Bianca, Dr. Bennett is one of the best cardiac surgeons in the country. Bennett. Bianca's eyes suddenly widened. Oh my God. She's your ex-wife. Aurora's expression remained professionally neutral. I need to continue my rounds. A nurse will be in to check your vitals, Mr. Morgan. As she left the room, Nathaniel found himself staring after her with a mixture of admiration and regret. She's very controlling, Bianca said, settling into the chair beside his bed. I hope she understands her place. Her place. She just saved my life, Bianca. Of course, darling, and we're grateful for her professional services. But her attitude leaves something to be desired. As Bianca chattered about social obligations and business commitments, Nathaniel found his mind drifting to the woman who had just walked out, the woman he'd thrown away for something she could apparently do quite well. For the next 3 days, Nathaniel's recovery progressed steadily. Each morning and evening, Aurora would check his surgical site and vital signs, maintaining a professional detachment that frustrated his attempts at real conversation. Your vitals are excellent, Aurora said on the morning of the 3rd day, reviewing his chart. The surgical sites are healing well. Aurora, can I ask you something? She raised an eyebrow but didn't respond. Did you always want to be a surgeon? Even when we were married? That's not relevant to your care. I'm just curious what motivated you to choose such a demanding field. Aurora's pen paused on his chart. Medicine chose me. Let's leave it at that. What does that mean? It means I found my purpose when I most needed one. Her voice carried a note of finality that suggested the conversation was over. Before Nathaniel could press further, the door opened and Bianca swept in with an armful of flowers and gift baskets. Good morning, darling. I've brought you some things from home to make this dreary place more cheerful. She barely acknowledged Aurora. Doctor, when will my husband resume normal activities? We have the Morgan Foundation Gala next month. Your husband won't be attending any galas for at least 6 weeks. 6 weeks? That's impossible. The gala is our biggest fundraiser of the year. Something was seriously wrong, Aurora interjected. Your husband was clinically dead for 3 minutes before resuscitation. Bianca paled. You never told me it was that serious. I didn't want to worry you unnecessarily, Nathaniel said quietly. The baby and I could have lost you. For the first time, Bianca seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation. Aurora cleared her throat. I need to continue my rounds. Mr. Morgan, you're cleared for short walks in the corridor today. Start slowly and don't overexert yourself. That afternoon, Nathaniel took his first halting steps through the hospital hallways, a nurse at his side for support. He found the movement painful but liberating after days confined to bed. As they rounded a corner toward the pediatric wing, he heard a child's laughter that stopped him in his tracks. Aurora stood near a nurse's station surrounded by 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, all appearing to be around 8 years old. They were obviously hers, the resemblance was unmistakable in their expressions and mannerisms. But as he studied them more closely, a chill ran down his spine. The girl had his eyes, his exact steel blue eyes that had skipped generations in his family. One boy shared his sharp profile and serious expression. The other boy's smile was Nathaniel's own, the one from childhood photos before life had hardened him. "Mama, can we get ice cream from the cafeteria?" the girl asked, tugging on Aurora's white coat. "After homework, Mia." "Thomas, how's that math worksheet coming?" "It's easy," the analytical boy replied with confidence Nathaniel recognized all too well. "Third grade math is boring." "I finished mine too," said the quieter boy. "Can I go to the library? They got new space books." "Of course, Benjamin, but stay where I can find you." Nathaniel felt the world tilt beneath him. These weren't just Aurora's children. They were his children. The timing, their ages, their features, it all aligned perfectly. They would be around 8 years old now, conceived just before their divorce was finalized. Aurora had been pregnant when she left him. The woman he divorced for being barren had given birth to triplets, his triplets, and never told him. "Mr. Morgan." The nurse touched his arm. "Are you all right? Your heart rate is elevated." He couldn't tear his eyes away from the family tableau before him. "I'm fine. Just a bit tired. Let's get you back to your room. You've done enough for your first day." As they turned, Nathaniel took one last look at the children, his children, who were now heading toward the cafeteria with Aurora. They were laughing, talking animatedly about their day, completely unaware that their father stood watching them from down the hall. Back in his room, Nathaniel's mind raced with questions and realizations. Aurora had been pregnant with triplets when he'd called her barren and defective. She had raised his children, their children, alone while he built a life with Bianca. The cruelty of his actions, the terrible irony of it all, hit him with crushing force. That evening, when Aurora came for her rounds, Nathaniel was ready. He needed answers, needed confirmation of what he already knew in his heart to be true. "Your heart rate has been irregular today," Aurora said, reviewing the monitoring data. "Any chest pain or shortness of breath? I need to ask you something, and I need honesty." His voice was steady despite the chaos in his mind. "I'm always honest about medical matters. This isn't medical." He looked directly into her eyes. "I saw you with 3 children today. In the hallway near pediatrics." Aurora's professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing a flash of panic before she regained control. "My personal life isn't your concern. Are they mine?" The question hung in the air like a live wire. Aurora's hand stilled on his chart, and for a long moment, the only sound was the beeping of his heart monitor. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Aurora. I saw them. They look exactly like me. The girl has my eyes, my grandmother's eyes. And they're the right age. They would have been conceived just before our divorce." Aurora moved to the window, her back to him. "Your children are none of your business." "My children? So they are mine." His voice cracked with emotion. She turned, fury in her eyes. "You have no rights where my children are concerned. You gave up any rights when you called me barren and threw me away like defective goods. You were pregnant when we divorced." The realization still stunned him. "I found out 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. And you never told me." Aurora's laugh was bitter. "Tell you what? That the woman you divorced for being unable to have children was pregnant with triplets? That your Barren ex-wife was carrying 3 babies while you were planning your engagement to Bianca? Nathaniel felt like he'd been punched in the chest. Mia, Thomas, and Benjamin. They're 8 years old, brilliant, and perfect. And they've grown up just fine without knowing their father exists. Why didn't you tell me? I had a right to know. You lost that right when you decided I was worthless without a functioning reproductive system. Nathaniel stared at her, seeing not just the successful surgeon but the woman who had raised his children alone, who had built an incredible life while carrying the secret of their existence. What are they like? He asked quietly. Aurora's expression softened slightly at the genuine interest in his voice. Mia is an artist. She sees the world in colors and emotions and shapes. She's fiercely protective of her brothers and has your stubborn determination. And the boys? Thomas is the analytical one. He's brilliant with numbers, reads everything he can find, and talks about starting his own company someday. He has your mind. Benjamin? He's gentle and thoughtful. Loves books and space. He asks questions about everything and shows empathy that amazes me daily. He's the peacemaker when the other 2 argue. Nathaniel felt tears threatening. They sound incredible. They are. I've raised them to be kind, intelligent, and independent. They don't need anything from you. I've missed 8 years of their lives, Aurora. Please don't make me miss any more. It's not about what you need, Nathaniel. It's about what's best for them. And what's best is growing up without knowing their father. Growing up without being hurt by their father, Aurora replied fiercely. You destroyed me when you left. I won't let you do that to them. I would never hurt them. You said you'd never hurt me too. Before Nathaniel could respond, the door opened and Bianca entered with a shopping bag. Hello, darling. Is everything all right? Dr. Bennett was explaining my discharge instructions, Nathaniel said quickly. Wonderful. I've arranged for the best private nurses and I've had our bedroom converted into a recovery suite. You'll be much more comfortable at home. Aurora watched this exchange with professional detachment. Mr. Morgan will need cardiac rehabilitation 3 times a week and regular follow-up appointments. He cannot return to high-stress work situations for at least 6 weeks. Of course, we'll make all the necessary arrangements, Bianca said dismissively. I can't wait to get you home and properly taken care of. I'll prepare your discharge paperwork for tomorrow morning, Aurora said, gathering her charts. Good evening. As she left, Nathaniel felt a desperate urge to call her back, to continue their conversation, to somehow bridge the gap between them that 9 years and 3 secret children had created. She really is quite cold, isn't she? Bianca observed, settling into her chair. I hope your recovery won't require too much interaction with her. She's not cold. She's professional, Nathaniel defended automatically. As Bianca chattered about nursery designs and baby preparations, Nathaniel's mind was entirely focused on the 3 children he had just learned existed, his children, his brilliant, beautiful children who didn't even know his name. Aurora was right about one thing, he had given up his rights to them when he destroyed their marriage. But that didn't stop him from wanting to know everything about them, to be part of their lives somehow, to maybe earn a place in their world. He had spent 9 years building a life with Bianca, convincing himself he was happy, that he'd made the right choice. Now, in the space of a single conversation, everything had changed. The children he'd wanted so desperately had been there all along, growing up without him while he'd focused on creating new ones with a woman who saw him as a status symbol rather than a person. If you've ever discovered a truth that changed everything you thought you knew about your life, hit that like button. And if you want to know whether Nathaniel will ever meet his children and if Aurora can ever forgive the man who broke her heart, subscribe to our channel for part 2 of this emotional journey. Sometimes the greatest second chances come from our greatest mistakes, and sometimes the heart that needs the most healing isn't the one beneath the surgeon's skilled hands. Back in her office, Aurora collapsed into her chair, the full weight of the day crashing down on her. Nathaniel knew. After 9 years of careful secrecy, of protecting her children from the man who had rejected her so cruelly, he knew the truth. The carefully constructed walls between her past and present had crumbled in an instant. She reached for the framed photo on her desk, the triplets on their 7th birthday, faces smeared with chocolate cake, eyes bright with joy. They were happy, well-adjusted, thriving under her love and guidance. Would Nathaniel's presence in their lives enhance or damage that happiness? Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was Mrs. Young. "Dr. Bennett, the children are asking when you'll be finished. Thomas is particularly anxious about his math competition." Aurora glanced at her watch. It was already 3:30. "Tell them I'm on my way. We'll go straight to the school." She grabbed her purse and coat, pushing thoughts of Nathaniel to the back of her mind. Right now, her children needed her, and they would always be her priority. At Westlake Academy, Aurora sat proudly in the audience as Thomas confidently solved complex equations that would challenge many high school students. Benjamin and Mia cheered loudly when their brother was announced as the first-place winner. Later that evening, as she tucked the children into bed, Aurora marveled at the trio she and Nathaniel had created. Despite everything, despite his cruelty and abandonment, these 3 remarkable human beings existed because of their union. It was the universe's greatest irony, that such joy could come from such pain. "Mom." Benjamin's voice was sleepy as she kissed his forehead. "Yes, sweetheart. That man at the hospital today, the one watching us. Who was he?" Aurora's blood ran cold. "What man?" "In the hallway. He was looking at us like he knew us. He seemed sad." Of course Benjamin would notice. Nothing escaped his sensitive nature. "Just a patient, honey. Sometimes people in hospitals get lonely and seeing children makes them feel better." Benjamin seemed to accept this explanation, his eyes drifting closed. He had eyes like Mia's. Aurora stroked his hair until his breathing deepened into sleep, her heart racing at how close they had come to discovery. She would need to be more careful. Nathaniel would be discharged tomorrow, and with any luck, he would return to his life with Bianca, keeping his distance from Aurora and her children. But deep down, she knew this was wishful thinking. Nathaniel Morgan had built an empire through determination and persistence. Now that he knew about the triplets, he wouldn't simply walk away. The question was, what would she do when he inevitably came back into their lives? The next few weeks passed in a blur for Nathaniel Morgan. Discharged from the hospital into Bianca's meticulous care, he found himself going through the motions of recovery while his mind remained fixated on 3 children who shared his blood but not his name. The Morgan estate felt hollow despite its grandeur, 14,000 square feet of marble, crystal, and emptiness. Nurses and physical therapists came and went. Bianca fluttered about, arranging flowers, managing his medication schedule, and talking endlessly about the baby's nursery decorations. None of it felt real to him anymore. "Nathaniel. Did you hear what I said?" Bianca's voice pulled him from his thoughts as they sat in the sunroom overlooking manicured gardens. "I'm sorry. What was that?" She sighed with practiced patience. "I said the interior designer presented 2 concepts for the nursery. I'm leaning toward the French provincial theme with custom murals. Whatever you think is best. You've been distracted ever since you came home." Bianca settled into the chair opposite his, her hand resting protectively on her swollen belly. "Is it the medication? Dr. Winters said it might affect your mood." "It's not the medication." Nathaniel stared out the window, wondering what his children were doing at this moment. Were they in school? Playing outside? Did they like the same foods he had as a child? Did they know any of their paternal heritage? Then what is it? "The business can manage without you for a few weeks. I've had Marcus handling the European acquisition." "It's not the business either." "Then what?" Irritation crept into her voice. "You've barely said 2 words about our child. This should be an exciting time for us." Nathaniel turned to look at his wife, really look at her, for perhaps the first time in their marriage. Bianca Goldman Morgan was objectively beautiful, with her perfect blonde hair and aristocratic features. She was intelligent, well-connected, from the right family. Everything his grandmother had insisted he needed in a wife. But looking at her now, he realized he felt nothing. No real connection, no deep affection beyond the pleasant companionship they'd built their marriage on. They were business partners in the creation of a life, nothing more. "Bianca, are you happy?" The question escaped before he could consider its implications. She looked startled. "What kind of question is that?" "Of course I'm happy. We have everything we could want, success, position, a baby on the way." "That's not what I asked. Are you happy with me? Do you love me?" Her perfectly manicured hand fluttered to her strand of pearls. "Why are you asking this? Is this about that doctor, your ex-wife?" The directness of the question caught him off guard. "What? I'm not blind, Nathaniel. I saw how you looked at her in the hospital. And I've done my research since then. Aurora Bennett. The woman you divorced because she couldn't have children." Bianca's laugh was cold. "Except apparently she could, considering those 3 children who look remarkably like you." Nathaniel felt the blood drain from his face. "You noticed that? A blind person would notice it. The girl has your grandmother's eyes exactly. The serious boy has your profile. It doesn't take a genius to do the math." "I didn't know." His voice was barely audible. "I swear I didn't know until I saw them at the hospital." Bianca's face hardened. "So it's true. Those children are yours. Aurora was pregnant when we divorced. She found out afterward. And never told you. How convenient for her. Can you blame her? I left her because I thought she was barren. I called her, he couldn't bring himself to repeat the cruel words he'd used. I wasn't the man she deserved. And now what? You've discovered your long-lost children and suddenly our life together isn't enough?" Bianca's voice rose with anger. "I'm 7 months pregnant with your child, Nathaniel. Your legitimate heir." The phrase made him wince. "Don't call our baby that. And don't talk about the triplets as if they're less legitimate. They're my children too. Children you never cared about until 5 minutes ago. Children that woman kept from you for years. Aurora had every right to protect them from me after how I treated her." Bianca stood, her face flushed with rage. "Listen to yourself. Defending her. What are you planning to do, leave us and play happy family with your ex-wife and secret children?" The question hung in the air between them, its implications too significant to dismiss. Was that what he wanted? The possibility had been growing in his mind since he'd first seen the triplets in the hospital corridor. "I don't know what I'm going to do," he admitted finally. "But I know I can't pretend those children don't exist. I've already missed 8 years of their lives. And whose fault is that? Not mine." Bianca gathered her composure with visible effort. "I need some air. We'll discuss this later when you're thinking more rationally." After she left, Nathaniel remained in the sunroom, the weight of his past mistakes and current dilemma pressing down on him. He had destroyed his marriage to Aurora because of his obsession with having children, only to discover she had given him 3 remarkable ones he'd never known. Meanwhile, he'd built a life with a woman he didn't love, pursuing the very thing he'd already achieved and abandoned. The cosmic irony was almost too much to bear. His phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. It was Dr. Martinez, the cardiologist who had taken over his care after discharge. "Mr. Morgan, I wanted to check how you're doing with the new medication protocol." "Fine, I suppose. Still tired most of the time." "That's normal. Your body has been through significant trauma. Rest is essential for recovery." There was a pause. "I also wanted to inform you that Dr. Bennett will no longer be overseeing your case." Nathaniel sat up straighter. "What? Why?" She cited a potential conflict of interest. Not unusual when there's a previous personal connection with a patient. Of course she would distance herself professionally. Aurora was nothing if not ethical. But the formal severance of even this tenuous connection left him feeling adrift. I see. Thank you for letting me know. After hanging up, Nathaniel made a decision. Conflict of interest or not, he needed to speak with Aurora away from the hospital, away from Bianca, somewhere they could have an honest conversation about the future. He reached for his phone again, hesitating before dialing her number. Would she even take his call? Across town, Aurora was enjoying a rare Saturday morning at home with the triplets. These precious weekend hours were sacred, time to simply be a mother rather than a surgeon. Mama, look. Mia held up her latest watercolor, a swirl of blues and purples forming what appeared to be a galaxy. It's for Benjamin's space collection. It's beautiful, sweetheart. The colors are magical. Thomas looked up from the complex Lego structure he was building. It's scientifically inaccurate. Galaxies don't actually look like that from the inside. It's art, Thomas, Benjamin defended his sister without looking up from his book. It doesn't have to be scientifically accurate. It just has to make you feel something. Aurora smiled at the exchange. This was typical of her children, Thomas the literal thinker, Benjamin the peacemaker, and Mia the creative spirit who saw the world through a different lens. Her phone vibrated on the counter. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, reluctant to let the outside world intrude on this family time. But years of medical training had conditioned her to answer every call. It might be an emergency. Dr. Bennett speaking. Aurora. It's me. Nathaniel. Her heart stuttered at the sound of his voice. She moved quickly to the porch, sliding the door closed behind her to keep the conversation private. How did you get this number? Hospital directory. I'm still technically your patient. Not anymore. I've transferred your case to Dr. Martinez. I know. He told me. There was a pause. Aurora, we need to talk. We have nothing to discuss. We have 3 children to discuss. Aurora sank into a porch chair, her legs suddenly weak. My children are not up for discussion, especially not over the phone. Our children, Aurora. Whether you like it or not, they're mine too. Biology doesn't make you a father, Nathaniel. 9 years of absence rather proves that point. 9 years you chose without consulting me. His voice wasn't accusatory, merely stating a fact. Aurora, please. I'm not looking to disrupt your lives or make legal claims. I just want to talk. She closed her eyes, conflicting emotions warring within her. Part of her wanted to hang up, to protect the life she'd built from the chaos Nathaniel Morgan always seemed to bring. Another part, a part she'd thought long dead, remembered the man she'd once loved, the man who might have been a wonderful father if given the chance. Bianca knows, doesn't she? She asked suddenly. Yes. She noticed the resemblance at the hospital. Of course she did. Aurora sighed. Fine. We can meet. But not at my home, not anywhere near the children. Thank you. There's a coffee shop on Maple Street, the Bookmark. Tomorrow at 10. I'll be there. As she hung up, Aurora caught sight of her reflection in the window glass. The woman looking back at her seemed uncertain, vulnerable in a way Dr. Bennett the cardiac surgeon never was. How quickly Nathaniel Morgan could strip away her hard-earned confidence, reducing her to the heartbroken woman who had signed divorce papers with trembling hands 9 years ago. Mom. Thomas's voice came from behind her. Who was that? Aurora turned, forcing a smile. Just a work call, sweetie. On a Saturday? He frowned skeptically. You promised no work on Saturdays. You're right, I did. No more calls today, I promise. Thomas studied her face with an intensity that sometimes unnerved her. He had Nathaniel's analytical mind, his ability to see through pretense. You look worried. I'm fine, Thomas. Really? She pulled him into a hug. How's that Lego space station coming along? The deflection worked, and he launched into a detailed explanation of his construction techniques. Aurora listened, nodding at appropriate intervals, while her mind raced ahead to tomorrow's meeting with Nathaniel. What could he possibly want after all this time? What right did he have to any place in their lives? And the question that frightened her most, what would she do if her children wanted to know their father? Sunday morning dawned clear and crisp. Aurora dropped the triplets at her friend Rachel's house for a playdate, explaining she had a quick errand to run. The bookmark was nearly empty when she arrived, the morning rush not yet begun. She chose a table in the back corner, positioning herself facing the door. Nathaniel arrived precisely at 10, looking better than he had in the hospital but still bearing the pallor of recent illness. He wore casual clothes, jeans and a sweater rather than his usual bespoke suits. It made him look more like the man she had fallen in love with rather than the tycoon who had broken her heart. "Thank you for coming," he said, sliding into the seat opposite her. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't." Aurora kept her tone neutral. "What do you want, Nathaniel?" "I have 20 minutes before I need to pick up my children." He noted her emphasis on the possessive. "I want to know them, Aurora. I want to be part of their lives." "Why?" "Because suddenly you've discovered paternal instincts. After 9 years of complete absence. I didn't know they existed for those 9 years. And whose fault is that?" The anger she'd suppressed for so long bubbled to the surface. "You left me, Nathaniel. You called me defective and barren. You'd already lined up my replacement before the divorce papers were even filed." "I know." He looked down at his hands. "There's no excuse for what I did. I was selfish and cruel and obsessed with continuing the Morgan legacy. I let my grandmother's expectations and my own fears drive me to hurt the one person who truly loved me." The raw honesty in his voice caught her off guard. This wasn't the defensive reaction she'd expected. "And now what? You've had a near-death experience and suddenly want to play daddy to children you never knew existed?" "It's not like that. Seeing them in that hospital corridor, recognizing myself in them, it changed something fundamental in me, Aurora. I can't explain it properly, but it was like finding a piece of my soul I never knew was missing." Aurora studied his face, looking for signs of the manipulation or self-interest that had characterized the end of their marriage. Instead, she saw only genuine emotion and what appeared to be sincere regret. "They don't know about you," she said finally. "They think their father was someone who couldn't be part of their lives. I never told them the truth about why you left. You didn't poison them against me." Surprise colored his voice. "What would be the point? I didn't want them carrying the weight of rejection. They don't need to know their father left because he thought their mother was defective." Nathaniel winced at the word. "I can never apologize enough for that. Never." "No, you can't." Aurora's voice was firm. "But this isn't about us or our past. It's about 3 innocent children who have been happy and well-adjusted without you in their lives. I understand that. I'm not looking to disrupt what you've built. But is there no room for me at all? Even as a friend of the family at first? Someone who could gradually become more present in their lives?" Aurora hadn't expected this measured approach. She'd anticipated demands, legal threats, the full force of Nathaniel Morgan's considerable power brought to bear. "What about Bianca and your new baby?" Pain flickered across his face. "That's complicated. Uncomplicated for me." He sighed deeply. "I'm leaving Bianca. Or rather, we're separating until the baby is born. After that, we'll divorce." "Because of the triplets?" Aurora felt a flash of anger. "You're abandoning your pregnant wife because you found out you have other children?" "No. I'm ending a marriage that should never have happened in the first place." A marriage based on social compatibility and family expectations rather than love. Does Bianca know this? We've discussed it. She's not happy, but she's pragmatic. There will be a generous settlement and shared custody of our child. Aurora shook her head in disbelief. So typical. You discard women when they no longer fit your current needs. That's not fair. Isn't it? You left me because I couldn't give you children. Now you're leaving Bianca because I already did. Nathaniel leaned forward, his expression intense. I'm leaving Bianca because I never loved her the way a husband should love his wife. Yes, discovering the triplets was the catalyst, but it only highlighted what I've known deep down for years, that I made a terrible mistake when I left you. The words hung between them, charged with implications neither was ready to address. Aurora glanced at her watch. My time's up. I need to get back to the children. Aurora, please. Will you at least consider letting me meet them properly? Not as their father, not yet, just as a friend, someone who cares about them. She stood, gathering her purse. I'll think about it. That's all I can promise right now. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you. As she turned to leave, he called after her. They're beautiful, Aurora. You've done an amazing job raising them. The simple acknowledgement of her years of struggle and sacrifice, the sleepless nights of medical school with 3 toddlers, the financial hardships, the difficult choices, brought unexpected tears to her eyes. Yes, she said quietly. I have. The following week brought a flurry of activity at the Bennett household. Thomas had a science project due, Mia was preparing for an art show, and Benjamin had been selected to read his original story at the school literary festival. Aurora juggled it all alongside her surgical schedule, stealing moments between operations to check homework and sign permission slips. Mom, can you help me practice my reading? Benjamin asked one evening as Aurora prepared dinner. I keep getting nervous during the dragon part. Of course, sweetheart. Let me just finish chopping these vegetables. I'll do it. Mia offered, reaching for the knife. Absolutely not, Aurora laughed. Last time you helped with dinner, we had star-shaped carrots that took an hour to cut. But they were pretty. They were impractical, Thomas commented from the table where he was constructing a model solar system. Food doesn't need to be decorative. Everything should be a little beautiful, Mia insisted. Even carrots. Aurora smiled at the familiar debate between her practical son and artistic daughter. Tell you what, Mia. You can set the table with your special napkin folds, and I'll help Benjamin with his reading. Deal. As Benjamin practiced his story about a shy dragon who found his courage, Aurora marveled at his sensitivity and imagination. He had a gift for creating characters that felt real and situations that resonated emotionally with listeners. That was wonderful, Benjamin. The way you changed your voice for each character really brings the story to life. He beamed at her praise. Do you think people will like it at the festival? They'll love it. I'm so proud of you. The doorbell rang, interrupting their practice session. Are we expecting someone? Thomas asked, always alert to changes in routine. No. Aurora frowned, checking her watch. It was nearly 7 p.m., an unusual time for visitors. Stay here. I'll see who it is. She opened the door to find a delivery person holding a large box. Delivery for the Bennett family. I didn't order anything. It's already paid for, ma'am. Just need your signature. Puzzled, Aurora signed for the package and brought it inside. The triplets gathered around curiously as she opened it. Inside were 3 smaller wrapped packages, each with a name tag, Mia, Thomas, and Benjamin. Presents. But it's not our birthday, Mia said, confused but excited. Who are they from? Thomas asked suspiciously. His practical nature made him wary of unexpected gifts. Aurora found a card at the bottom of the box. The handwriting was unmistakably Nathaniel's. I heard about your upcoming achievements, an art show, a science project, and a story reading. I thought these might help. Congratulations to all three of you. A friend from the hospital, NM. She opened her mouth to explain, to perhaps set the gifts aside until she could examine them privately, but the children had already torn into the packages with typical 8-year-old enthusiasm. Oh my goodness! Mia gasped, lifting out a professional quality art set with paints, brushes, and canvases. This is amazing. Like what real artists use. Thomas was equally impressed with his gift, an advanced telescope with star mapping software. This is professional grade, he said, already examining the technical specifications. It can see Jupiter's moons. Benjamin's package contained a beautiful leather-bound journal with his name embossed on the cover, along with a collection of books by renowned children's authors. Look, Mom. It's for writing my stories. Aurora watched their excitement with mixed emotions. The gifts were thoughtful, specifically tailored to each child's interests and upcoming events. Nathaniel had clearly put considerable thought into selecting them. But how had he known about the art show, science project, and story reading? Her phone buzzed with a text message. I hope the gifts are appropriate. I asked Dr. Martinez about their interests when I had my follow-up appointment. I didn't mean to overstep. Nathaniel. Aurora sighed. Of course he had found a way to gather information. Nathaniel Morgan had built an empire through determination and resourcefulness. Mom, who sent these? Benjamin asked, clutching his new journal. The card just says, a friend from the hospital. Aurora hesitated. This was the moment, tell the truth or create another layer of deception. She had promised herself never to lie to her children, even when the truth was difficult. His name is Mr. Morgan. He's someone I used to know, and I recently treated him at the hospital. The man who was watching us that day. Benjamin's perception never ceased to amaze her. Yes. That was him. He must be really nice to send us such perfect gifts, Mia said, already sorting through her new paints. How did he know exactly what we each like? He asked about you, Aurora admitted. He was interested in meeting you. Thomas looked up sharply. Why would he be interested in us? Aurora took a deep breath. This conversation was happening sooner than she'd planned, but perhaps it was time. Because he's your father. 3 pairs of eyes widened in perfect synchronization. The gifts were momentarily forgotten as the bombshell landed. Our father. Thomas was the first to speak, his analytical mind already processing implications. The one who couldn't be part of our lives. Yes. But now he wants to be. Mia asked, confusion and hope mingling in her voice. He says he does. Benjamin, quiet as always, studied his mother's face. Are you sad about this? Aurora sat down, gathering her thoughts. It's complicated, sweetheart. Your father and I have a difficult history. Did he hurt you? Thomas asked directly. Aurora chose her words carefully. He made choices that were painful for me. But that was a long time ago, before you were born. And now he wants to know us. Mia persisted. Is that why he sent the gifts? Yes. He saw you at the hospital when he was my patient, and he realized he wanted to be part of your lives. Why didn't he want to before? Benjamin's question cut to the heart of the matter. He didn't know about you, Aurora admitted. I found out I was pregnant after we separated. I never told him. This revelation clearly shocked them. Thomas frowned. You kept us a secret from him. Why? Because I was hurt and afraid, Aurora said honestly. Because I thought it was better to protect you than to involve someone who might not stay in your lives. But now he knows, Mia said. Yes. Now he knows. And he wants to meet us properly? Benjamin asked. Aurora nodded. He's asked if he can spend time with you, get to know you. Do we have to? Thomas's voice held a protective note. No, sweetheart. You don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. This is your choice too. The three exchanged glances, having one of their silent triplet conversations that Aurora had never quite been able to interpret. I think we should meet him, Mia said finally. If he picked out these perfect gifts, he must have really thought about what we like. I have questions for him, Thomas added, his expression serious. Scientific questions about genetics and biological relationships. Benjamin nodded. I want to know what he's like. If he's part of us, shouldn't we know him too? Aurora felt a surge of pride at their maturity mixed with a flutter of anxiety. If you're sure, I can arrange a meeting. Somewhere neutral, like the park or a restaurant. Will you be there too? Benjamin asked, a hint of worry in his voice. Every second, she promised. I won't leave you alone with him until we're all comfortable. That night, after the children were asleep, Aurora sat in her study staring at Nathaniel's text message. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard before she finally replied. The gifts were very thoughtful. The children would like to meet you properly. This Saturday, 11 a.m., Riverside Park near the playground. I'll be present the entire time. His response came seconds later. Thank you, Aurora. This means more than I can express. I'll be there. Aurora set down her phone, wondering if she had just made a terrible mistake or opened the door to healing for her children. Only time would tell. Saturday arrived with perfect early autumn weather, crisp air, golden sunshine, and leaves just beginning to turn. Aurora dressed the triplets with extra care, though she tried to be casual about it. Remember, she said as they walked toward the playground, this is just a chance to get to know each other. No pressure, no expectations. We know, Mom, Thomas said with the exasperated tone of a child who feels overcoached. You've told us 6 times already, Mia added. I'm just nervous, Aurora admitted. Benjamin took her hand. It's okay to be nervous, Mom. We are too. Nathaniel was already waiting at the designated picnic table. He had dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, looking more like the man she had first fallen in love with than the corporate titan he had become. He stood as they approached, his face a mixture of anxiety and hope. Hello, he said simply, his voice slightly rough with emotion. Hello, Mr. Morgan, Aurora replied formally. These are my children, Thomas, Mia, and Benjamin. He nodded to each of them. It's very nice to meet you all properly. Thank you for the second chance. Are you really our biological father? Thomas asked immediately, never one to dance around a topic. Nathaniel blinked at the directness of the question but answered honestly. Yes, I am. Why haven't you been part of our lives until now? This from Mia, equally forthright. Because I didn't know you existed, Nathaniel said gently. Your mother and I separated before she knew she was expecting you. Why did you separate? Benjamin asked quietly. Aurora tensed, but Nathaniel handled the question with unexpected grace. I made some very poor decisions. I hurt your mother deeply, and by the time I realized my mistake, it was too late. But now you want to know us, Thomas stated, studying Nathaniel with an intensity that mirrored his own. More than anything in the world. Why? The simple question from Benjamin cut through pretense. Nathaniel considered his answer carefully. Because when I saw you in the hospital corridor, something changed inside me. I recognized pieces of myself in each of you, and I felt a connection I've never experienced before. I want to know who you are, what you love, what makes you laugh and worry and dream. His sincerity seemed to satisfy them for the moment. The conversation gradually shifted to safer topics, their interests, school projects, favorite books and games. I'm building a scale model of the solar system, Thomas explained, warming up as he described his science project. With accurate orbital patterns and relative distances. That's impressive, Nathaniel said. Have you accounted for the elliptical nature of the orbits? Thomas's eyes lit up. Yes. Most people think planets move in perfect circles, but they don't. They follow elliptical paths with the sun at one focus. Exactly right. You know, when I was about your age, I built a mechanical orrery, a moving model of the solar system. Really? Thomas leaned forward eagerly. How did you make the gears work? As they launched into a technical discussion that Aurora could barely follow, she noticed Mia watching them with a thoughtful expression. What are you thinking, sweetheart? She asked quietly. He talks like Thomas, Mia observed. All precise and detailed about facts. And he has the same crinkle by his eyes when he smiles. Aurora had noticed it too, the mannerisms, expressions, and speech patterns that the triplets had somehow inherited without ever meeting their father. Nature was a powerful force. Benjamin, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. Do you like stories, Mr. Morgan? Very much, Nathaniel replied, turning his attention to his quieter son. I hear you're quite the storyteller yourself. I'm reading one of my stories at the school festival next week, Benjamin said, a hint of pride in his voice. It's about a dragon who's afraid of fire. That sounds fascinating. A dragon afraid of the very thing that makes him special. Nathaniel's genuine interest encouraged Benjamin to elaborate on his story, revealing the depth of thought behind his seemingly simple tale. As the conversation flowed, Aurora watched Nathaniel with her children, searching for any sign of the arrogance or dismissiveness that had characterized the end of their marriage. Instead, she saw only attentiveness, respect, and growing affection. He listened to each child with equal interest, never talking down to them or dismissing their ideas. It was as if the near-death experience had stripped away years of accumulated hardness, revealing the man she had originally fallen in love with. Thoughtful, engaged, genuinely interested in others. Mom, can Mr. Morgan come to my reading at the festival? Benjamin asked as they prepared to leave 2 hours later. He gave me some good ideas for the ending. Aurora hesitated, caught off guard by the request. That's next Thursday, isn't it? I'm not sure if Mr. Morgan is available. I am, Nathaniel said quickly, then added more carefully, if that would be acceptable to you, Aurora. She looked at Benjamin's hopeful face, then at Thomas and Mia, who seemed equally interested in the prospect of Nathaniel attending their events. I suppose that would be all right, she conceded. Benjamin's reading is at 4 p.m. at Westlake Academy. I'll be there, Nathaniel promised, his expression solemn as if taking a sacred oath. As they walked away, the triplets chattering excitedly about the meeting, Aurora felt a complex mixture of emotions. Relief that the encounter had gone well, anxiety about Nathaniel's growing presence in their lives, and something else, a faint, unwelcome flutter in her chest when he had smiled at Benjamin's story idea. Mom, I like him, Mia announced as they reached the car. He doesn't talk to us like we're babies. And he knows a lot about science, Thomas added approvingly. Not just basic stuff, but real scientific principles. He listens well, Benjamin said quietly. He really heard my story. Aurora nodded, unable to disagree with their assessments. He was on his best behavior today. Were you and Mr. Morgan in love when you were married? Mia asked suddenly, her artist's sensitivity picking up on undercurrents the others might have missed. The question caught Aurora off guard. Yes, she admitted after a moment. We loved each other very much, once. What happened? Thomas wanted to know. People change, she said simply. Sometimes they want different things. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was as much as they needed to know for now. The full story of their parents' painful separation would come later, when they were old enough to understand the complexities of adult relationships and the damage that pride and fear could inflict. That evening, Aurora's phone rang. Nathaniel's name appeared on the screen. Thank you, he said when she answered. Thank you for today. They're incredible, Aurora. You've done an amazing job with them. They are pretty wonderful, she agreed, unable to keep the pride from her voice. I'd like to keep seeing them, if that's all right. Not just at Benjamin's reading, but regularly. I want to be part of their lives. Aurora sighed. Nathaniel, they seem to like you, and I won't stand in the way of a relationship if that's what they want. But you need to understand, these are 3 vulnerable children who have never had a father. If you start this and then disappear, the damage would be incalculable. I won't disappear, he promised. Aurora, I know my track record doesn't inspire confidence, but these children are part of me. I already love them after just one afternoon. I can't explain it properly, it's like they've always been in my heart, I just didn't know it. His sincerity was palpable, even over the phone. What about the baby with Bianca? That child deserves your time and attention too. And they'll have it. I'm fully committed to being present for my new child as well. Bianca and I are working out a co-parenting arrangement. She's really accepted the divorce that easily. There was a pause. Not easily, no. But she's practical. The prenuptial agreement is generous, and she's already planning her social comeback as a single mother. That sounded like the Bianca Goldman Aurora had glimpsed in the hospital, calculating, status-conscious, and ultimately pragmatic. She almost felt sorry for the woman. All right, Aurora said finally. You can attend Benjamin's reading, and we'll take it from there. But Nathaniel, this is on the children's terms. If at any point they seem uncomfortable or overwhelmed, we pull back. Agreed? Absolutely. Their well-being comes first. He paused. And Aurora? Thank you for not poisoning them against me. You had every right to, after what I did. I would never use children as weapons, Nathaniel. That's not who I am. I know. It's one of the countless reasons I was a fool to let you go. The words hung between them, too loaded with implication to address. Aurora changed the subject quickly. Benjamin's reading starts at 4 p.m. sharp. Don't be late. I wouldn't dream of it. True to his word, Nathaniel arrived at Westlake Academy 20 minutes early on Thursday, carrying a small gift bag. He had dressed business casual, nice enough to show respect for the occasion but not so formal as to intimidate the children. Mr. Morgan. Mia spotted him first, waving enthusiastically from where the triplets waited with Aurora. You came. I promised I would, he said, approaching the family group. Aurora nodded a greeting, her expression carefully neutral. She wore a simple but elegant blue dress that brought out her eyes, her surgical precision evident in every perfect detail of her appearance. Benjamin is a bit nervous, she said quietly. This is his first time reading to such a large audience. Understandable. Nathaniel smiled at his quieter son. Feeling those butterflies? Benjamin nodded, clutching his story pages tightly. What if I forget the words or my voice gets squeaky? Nathaniel knelt to Benjamin's level. Can I tell you a secret? Even adults get nervous before speaking. I still get butterflies before big presentations. You do. Benjamin looked skeptical. But you're a grown-up. Grown-ups get scared too, we just hide it better. Nathaniel reached into the gift bag. I brought something that might help. It's what I use when I'm nervous. He pulled out a small, smooth stone, polished to a gentle sheen. It's a worry stone. When you feel nervous, you rub your thumb against it like this. He demonstrated the motion. It helps focus your mind and calm your thoughts. Benjamin accepted the stone, rubbing it experimentally. It feels nice. Keep it in your pocket while you read. Whenever you feel nervous, just touch it and remember, being a little scared means you care about doing well. Aurora watched the interaction with surprise. This gentle guidance, this understanding of a child's fears, this was not the Nathaniel Morgan who had coldly informed her that she was defective and inadequate. We should find our seats, she said, noting the time. Benjamin, you need to join the other readers backstage. Can Mr. Morgan sit with us? Mia asked. Aurora hesitated, then nodded. Of course. They found seats in the middle of the auditorium, Aurora between Nathaniel and the other two children, maintaining a buffer that felt necessary. He'll be fine, Nathaniel said quietly, noticing her anxious glances toward the stage. He's remarkably poised for his age. He's always been that way, quiet but steady. Nothing like, she caught herself. Nothing like me, Nathaniel finished with a small smile. I was a nervous wreck as a child. My father's expectations were significant. Aurora looked at him in surprise. In all their years together, Nathaniel had rarely spoken about his childhood. I didn't know that. There's a lot we never talked about, he acknowledged. I was too busy trying to live up to the Morgan name to share the less flattering parts of my history. Before Aurora could respond, the program began. They watched several children present their stories, but when Benjamin took the stage, a palpable tension gripped both parents. He looked so small under the stage lights, his dark hair neatly combed, his expression serious. He pulled the worry stone from his pocket, rubbing it once before beginning to read. The dragon who couldn't breathe fire, he announced, his voice clear and steady. By Benjamin Bennett. As he read his tale of a young dragon struggling to fit in with his fire-breathing family, finding his own unique gift along the way, Aurora felt tears pricking at her eyes. The story was beautiful in its simplicity, carrying a message of self-acceptance and finding strength in difference. She glanced at Nathaniel and was startled to see similar emotion on his face. He was leaning forward slightly, utterly captivated by his son's words, pride radiating from his expression. When Benjamin finished to enthusiastic applause, Nathaniel was on his feet immediately, clapping with genuine enthusiasm. That was incredible, he whispered. He's extraordinary, Aurora. Yes, she agreed. He is. Afterward, as they gathered in the school lobby, Benjamin rushed to them, eyes bright with excitement. Did you like it? Was I okay? I almost forgot a part in the middle, but then I felt the stone and remembered. You were perfect, Aurora assured him, hugging him tightly. Better than perfect, Nathaniel added. You held the audience in the palm of your hand. That's a rare gift, Benjamin. The boy beamed at the double praise. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? Please, Mom. Aurora checked her watch. She had an early surgery tomorrow, but the hopeful faces of her children were hard to resist. I suppose we could get a quick scoop. Can Mr. Morgan come too? Mia asked. Aurora glanced at Nathaniel, who carefully kept his expression neutral, making it clear this was entirely her decision. If he'd like to, she conceded. I'd be honored, Nathaniel said. Though I should follow in my own car since I came directly from a meeting. As they headed to the parking lot, Aurora found herself walking beside Nathaniel while the children ran ahead, discussing the merits of various ice cream flavors. Thank you for including me, he said quietly. I know this isn't easy for you. The children seem to like you, she replied, keeping her tone neutral. And that worry stone for Benjamin was thoughtful. He reminds me of myself at that age, sensitive, always watching, afraid of disappointing others. Nathaniel gazed after the triplets with a wistful expression. I don't want him feeling the pressure I did growing up. Aurora studied him, trying to reconcile this reflective, emotionally aware man with the cold, legacy-obsessed husband who had discarded her so callously. You've changed, she observed. Having your heart literally stop will do that. His smile was rueful. Nothing clarifies priorities quite like dying for 3 minutes. I suppose not. As they reached her car, Nathaniel paused. Aurora, I know I have no right to ask this, but is there any chance you could ever forgive me? Not for my sake, but for yours. The anger can't be good for you, carrying it all these years. The question caught her off guard. I don't know, she answered honestly. Some wounds leave scars that never quite heal. I understand. He nodded, accepting her answer without pushing. "I'll meet you at the ice cream shop." As Aurora watched him walk to his car, she felt something shift inside her, not forgiveness exactly, but perhaps the beginning of a willingness to consider it. For the triplets' sake, if nothing else. Little did she know that this tentative peace would be shattered the very next day. Aurora was just finishing a routine bypass surgery when her phone buzzed with multiple urgent messages. 6 missed calls from the school, 3 from Mrs. Young, and a text that made her blood run cold. Emergency at school. Children upset. Bianca Morgan showed up claiming triplets are illegitimate. Security involved. Come immediately. Heart pounding, Aurora tore off her surgical gown and ran for her car, adrenaline surging through her body. What had Bianca done? How dare she approach the children without permission? And what exactly had she told them? The school parking lot was chaotic when she arrived, a sleek black town car with tinted windows parked prominently near the entrance. Aurora rushed inside to find the principal, the school counselor, and 3 very upset triplets in the administrative office. "Mama!" Mia cried, running to her, tears streaming down her face. "A lady said we're not real Morgans, that we're secrets and mistakes." Thomas stood rigid with fury, his small hands clenched into fists. "She said you tricked Mr. Morgan and that's why he never wanted us." Benjamin sat silently in a corner chair, his face pale, clutching the worry stone so tightly his knuckles had turned white. Aurora gathered them all into her arms, rage and protective fury washing over her in equal measure. "None of that is true. None of it. You are not mistakes, you are miracles, and you are loved beyond measure." Mrs. Morgan arrived during lunch recess, the principal explained quietly. She somehow gained access to the playground and approached the children directly. By the time staff realized who she was, she had already spoken to them. "Where is she now?" Aurora demanded. "Security escorted her to her car, but she's refusing to leave the property until she speaks with you." Aurora took a deep breath, struggling to contain her fury. "Stay with the children, please. I need to handle this." She stalked out to the parking lot where the black town car still waited. The rear door opened as she approached, and Bianca Morgan emerged, her pregnant belly prominently displayed in a designer maternity dress. "How dare you," Aurora hissed, stopping just short of the other woman. "How dare you approach my children and fill their heads with lies?" "Lies?" Bianca's laugh was cold. "I merely told them the truth you've been hiding, that they're the result of a desperate attempt to trap a wealthy man, that their father never wanted them because he knew exactly what kind of woman you are." "You malicious, vicious," Aurora caught herself, aware they were in a school parking lot. "Those children are innocent. Whatever grievance you have with me or with Nathaniel, they don't deserve to be caught in the crossfire. Neither does my child." Bianca's hand moved protectively to her belly. "My legitimate heir who will have to share the Morgan legacy with your secret offspring. Is that what this is about? Money? Legacy?" Aurora shook her head in disgust. "My children don't need the Morgan fortune. They've done perfectly well without it for 8 years. Then perhaps you should keep it that way." Bianca's voice turned silky. "Nathaniel is experiencing a midlife crisis, compounded by his heart attack. Once our baby is born, once he holds his true heir, this fascination with playing daddy to your brood will fade." Aurora stepped closer, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Listen carefully. If you ever approach my children again, if you ever upset them like this again, I will make you regret it in ways you cannot imagine. I've spent 9 years protecting them, and I won't hesitate to destroy anyone who threatens their happiness." Something in Aurora's expression must have conveyed her absolute seriousness, because Bianca actually took a step back. "This isn't over," she said, but the threat sounded hollow. "Yes, it is. Get in your car and leave. Now." As Bianca's car pulled away, Aurora felt a presence behind her. She turned to find Nathaniel standing there, his expression a mixture of fury and concern. The school called me, he explained. I came as quickly as I could. Are they all right? No, they're not all right, Aurora snapped, her protective anger finding a new target. Your wife just shattered their sense of security and self-worth. She called them mistakes and secrets. She told them you never wanted them. Nathaniel's face went pale. I swear I had no idea she would do this. I'll handle it, Aurora. She won't come near them again. You've said that before, that you'd handle things. But you've never been very good at controlling the damage you cause, have you? The words were unfair, and Aurora knew it even as they left her mouth, but her children's pain overrode her rational thinking. I understand you're angry, Nathaniel said quietly. You have every right to be. But right now, the children need us both. They need reassurance that they're wanted and loved, not caught in a battle between adults. His reasonableness only fueled her anger. Don't tell me what my children need. I've been meeting their needs single-handedly for 8 years while you built your perfect life with that woman. Aurora, please. Let me help fix this. Haven't you done enough? The words hung in the air between them. Nathaniel took a deep breath. I'll respect your wishes. But please, tell the children that nothing Bianca said was true. Tell them I've wanted to know them from the moment I learned they existed. Tell them they are the most wonderful surprise of my life. The sincerity in his voice penetrated Aurora's protective fury. She nodded curtly. I'll tell them. Thank you. He turned to leave, then paused. I'm filing for an emergency restraining order against Bianca on the children's behalf. She won't come near them again. As Aurora watched him walk away, shoulders slumped with the weight of yet another painful confrontation, she felt her anger begin to subside, replaced by a bone-deep weariness. How had they arrived at this point? 3 innocent children caught in the crossfire of adult pain and mistakes made long ago. She returned to the office to find the triplets huddled together on a small couch, Thomas's arm protectively around his siblings, looking far older than his 8 years. Was that our father outside? He asked as Aurora entered. Yes. He came as soon as he heard what happened. Is he angry at us? Benjamin's voice was small, uncertain. No, sweetheart. He's angry at Mrs. Morgan for saying those horrible things to you. None of what she said was true. Then why did she say it? Mia demanded, tear streaks marking her cheeks. Aurora sighed, sitting down across from them. Sometimes adults hurt others when they're scared or angry. Mrs. Morgan is afraid because your father wants to be part of your lives now. She said we were trying to steal what belongs to her baby, Thomas reported, his logical mind trying to make sense of the situation. That's not true, Aurora assured them. Your father has enough love for all of his children. You don't have to compete for his attention or affection. Do we have to see him again? Benjamin asked quietly. It was nice before, but now it feels complicated. The question broke Aurora's heart. After years of wondering about their father, the triplets had finally started to build a relationship with him, only to have it tainted by Bianca's cruelty. That's entirely up to you, she said carefully. If you want to take a break from seeing him, that's okay. If you want to continue getting to know him, that's okay too. There's no right answer here. The children exchanged glances, having another of their silent triplet conversations. I think we need time to think about it, Thomas said finally, speaking for all 3. Aurora nodded. That's a very mature decision. Let's go home now. I think we could all use some comfort food and a quiet evening together. As they drove home, Aurora's phone buzzed with a text from Nathaniel. The restraining order is in place. Bianca won't come near the children again. I've also moved out of the house. Please tell them I'm so sorry for what happened and that I love them, whether they want to see me right now or not. I'm here when they're ready. Aurora read the message with mixed emotions. Despite everything, she couldn't deny that Nathaniel was trying, really trying, to do right by the triplets. The question was whether it was too little, too late, and whether the damage already done could ever truly be repaired. For 9 years, she had protected her children from pain and disappointment. Now, for the first time, she couldn't shield them from the messy reality of adult relationships and the lingering consequences of decisions made long ago. As they pulled into their driveway, Benjamin spoke up from the back seat. "Mom. That lady was wrong about one thing for sure." "What's that, sweetheart?" "We're not mistakes. You always say we're miracles." Aurora felt tears spring to her eyes. "That's absolutely right. You three are the greatest miracles of my life." "And maybe Mr. Morgan feels that way too," Mia suggested tentatively. "He looked really happy when he was watching us, not like we were mistakes at all." "I think he does feel that way," Aurora admitted. "I think he regrets very much that he missed so much of your lives." "Can people change?" Thomas asked suddenly. "Really change, not just pretend?" It was the question Aurora had been asking herself since Nathaniel had reappeared in their lives. Could the man who had once called her defective and worthless truly have transformed into someone capable of unconditional love? "I believe they can," she said slowly. "Not easily, and not without real effort. But yes, I think people can change, especially when they've faced something that makes them reconsider what matters most." "Like almost dying?" Benjamin suggested. Aurora smiled at her perceptive son. "Exactly like that." As they entered the house, Aurora felt something shift inside her, a loosening of the tight knot of resentment she had carried for 9 years. Not forgiveness, not yet. But perhaps the beginning of understanding that sometimes, tragedy created opportunities for redemption. And sometimes, the heart's most profound healings came not from a surgeon's skilled hands, but from the courage to face past wounds and begin again. If you've ever had to navigate complicated family situations or wondered if someone who hurt you deeply could truly change, hit that like button. In part 3 of this emotional journey, we'll discover whether Aurora can find it in her heart to forgive, whether Nathaniel can prove himself worthy of a second chance, and most importantly, whether 3 extraordinary children can help heal wounds that medicine can't touch. Subscribe now to find out what happens when broken hearts are given the chance to beat in rhythm once again. In the weeks following Bianca's cruel ambush, the Bennett household settled into an uneasy rhythm. Aurora threw herself into her work at the hospital, performing complex surgeries with her usual precision while her mind churned with questions about Nathaniel and his place in their lives. The triplets were quieter than usual, processing in their individual ways, Thomas burying himself in scientific research, Mia expressing her feelings through increasingly complex paintings, Benjamin writing stories with themes of belonging and forgiveness. Nathaniel had respected their need for space, sending only occasional text messages to Aurora asking about the children's well-being. No demands, no legal threats, just genuine concern and patience. It surprised her, this new restraint from a man who had once bulldozed through life taking whatever he wanted. One evening, as Aurora helped Mia organize her artwork for an upcoming school exhibition, her daughter suddenly asked, "Do you think Mr. Morgan will come to my art show next week?" Aurora carefully taped a corner of Mia's watercolor sunset. "I don't know, sweetheart. We haven't invited him. But he came to Benjamin's reading." Mia's fingers traced the edge of her painting. "It felt nice having someone else there besides you, someone who looks like me." The simple observation caught Aurora off guard. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't give her children everything. There was a biological connection with Nathaniel that she couldn't replicate, no matter how fiercely she loved them. "Would you like to invite him?" Aurora asked carefully. Mia nodded. "I think so. That lady was mean, but that wasn't his fault, was it?" "No, it wasn't." Aurora had to acknowledge the truth. "Your father has been trying very hard to make things right." "He's not really my father yet," Mia corrected with 8-year-old logic. "He's still just Mr. Morgan. You have to earn being someone's dad." Aurora smiled at her daughter's wisdom. "That's very true. But maybe we should give him a chance to earn it." Mia looked up, her steel blue eyes, Nathaniel's eyes, filled with cautious hope. "If that's what you want, sweetheart." That night, after consulting with all three children, Aurora sent Nathaniel a message. "Mia's art show is next Thursday at 5 p.m. The children would like you to attend if you're available." His response came within minutes. "I'll be there. Thank you for this second chance. It means more than I can express." On the day of the art show, Aurora found herself watching the entrance to the school gymnasium with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. The children were similarly distracted, especially Mia, who kept smoothing her special dress and glancing toward the door. "He'll be here," Thomas assured his sister with unusual gentleness. "He promised." Nathaniel arrived 15 minutes early, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers that matched the colors in Mia's featured painting. He had clearly done his homework, studying the photo of her artwork that the school had included in the exhibition announcement. "Mr. Morgan." Mia's face lit up when she spotted him. "You came." "I wouldn't have missed it for anything," he replied, presenting her with the flowers. "These reminded me of the beautiful sunset in your painting." Mia beamed, clutching the bouquet to her chest. "Do you want to see my exhibition space? I have 5 paintings on display." "I'd be honored." Aurora watched as Mia led Nathaniel through the exhibition, pointing out her work with animated enthusiasm. He listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions about her techniques and inspiration, his interest clearly genuine. Thomas and Benjamin trailed behind, gradually relaxing as they observed the natural interaction. "He really does care about her art," Benjamin observed quietly to Aurora. "He's not just pretending." "I think you're right," she agreed. When Mia's painting received an honorable mention from the judges, Nathaniel's applause was the loudest in the room, his pride unmistakable. Aurora found herself watching his face rather than Mia's, the pure joy. There was something she hadn't seen since the early days of their relationship, before legacy and family expectations had poisoned everything. After the ceremony, as they stood in the parking lot preparing to leave, Benjamin asked the question Aurora had been dreading. "Mr. Morgan, is your new baby born yet?" Nathaniel glanced at Aurora before answering carefully. "Not yet. The baby is due in about 5 weeks. Will you still want to see us after your real baby comes?" The vulnerability in Benjamin's question broke Aurora's heart. Nathaniel knelt down to Benjamin's level, his expression serious. "Benjamin, listen to me. You, Thomas, and Mia are just as much my real children as the baby will be. Nothing will change how I feel about you three or how much I want to be part of your lives. But that lady, your wife," she said. "She was wrong," Nathaniel said firmly. "Sometimes adults say hurtful things when they're upset or afraid. But I promise you, my heart has plenty of room for all my children. Pinky promise?" Benjamin held out his small finger. Without hesitation, Nathaniel linked his pinky with his son's. "Pinky promise." As the children climbed into Aurora's car, chattering about the exhibition, Nathaniel pulled her aside. "Thank you for letting me come today. It meant everything." "It was the children's decision," she said, maintaining the emotional distance that felt necessary. "Still, you could have discouraged it." He paused. "Aurora, I know things are still complicated between us, but I want you to know that I've made some decisions about my future, decisions that I hope will prove I'm serious about being part of their lives long term." "What decisions?" "I've purchased a house about 15 minutes from yours. Nothing extravagant, just a comfortable family home with room for the children to stay over sometimes, if that's ever something you'd consider. And I've restructured my work schedule to be more present, delegated most of my travel and reduced my hours significantly." Aurora stared at him, surprised by these concrete steps. "That's quite a change. Nearly dying has a way of clarifying priorities." His smile was rueful. "The company will survive with me being less hands-on, but these years with the children won't come again. I've already missed too many." Before Aurora could respond, Thomas called from the car, "Mom. We're going to be late for pizza." We promised them pizza to celebrate Mia's honorable mention, Aurora explained. I need to go. Nathaniel nodded. Of course. Enjoy your celebration. As he turned to leave, Aurora found herself saying, you could join us, if you'd like. He looked back, surprise and hope evident on his face. I'd like that very much. The pizza dinner was surprisingly comfortable. The children, emboldened by Nathaniel's consistent attention and respect, peppered him with questions about his childhood, his work, his interests. He answered everything honestly, sometimes with self-deprecating humor about his privileged upbringing. Wait, you had your own butler? Thomas was incredulous. Like in the movies? My family did, yes. His name was Edward, and he was terrifying. I once spilled grape juice on a white carpet, and I was so afraid of what he'd say that I tried to clean it with toothpaste. Did it work? Mia asked, giggling. It made it 10 times worse. The carpet turned pink, and Edward had to explain to my grandmother why her priceless Persian rug was suddenly bubblegum colored. Was she mad? Benjamin asked. Furious. But not at me, at Edward for not teaching me the proper way to remove stains. Nathaniel's expression sobered. My grandmother believed in proper training for everything. There were rules for which fork to use, how to sit, even how to laugh appropriately in public. That sounds awful, Mia declared. Mom lets us laugh however we want. Your mom is much wiser than my grandmother was. Nathaniel's eyes met Aurora's briefly. She understands what really matters in raising children. The moment of connection was broken when Benjamin asked, will your new baby have to follow all those rules? No, Nathaniel said firmly. My child with Mrs. Morgan will be raised very differently. I've learned a lot about what's truly important in life. From nearly dying? Thomas asked bluntly. Partly from that, yes. But mostly from seeing what a wonderful job your mother has done raising you three, how kind, intelligent, and well-adjusted you are without all the rigid expectations I grew up with. Aurora found herself unexpectedly touched by this acknowledgement. After years of struggling alone, working grueling shifts at the hospital while completing her medical training, stretching every dollar to provide for 3 growing children, hearing her efforts recognized meant more than she cared to admit. As the evening wound down, the children grew sleepy, the excitement of the art show and the unusual family dinner catching up with them. We should get going, Aurora said, gathering their things. It's past bedtime on a school night. Can Mr. Morgan come to my science fair next week? Thomas asked suddenly. I'm demonstrating the difference between Newtonian physics and quantum mechanics with a custom-built apparatus. If he'd like to, Aurora replied, looking to Nathaniel. I wouldn't miss it, he promised. What time? As they walked to their cars, the children running ahead, Nathaniel said quietly, thank you for tonight, Aurora. For letting me be part of this family moment. They seem to want you in their lives, she replied. I won't stand in the way of that. And you? What do you want? The directness of the question caught her off guard. What I've always wanted, for my children to be happy and secure. That's not what I asked. His voice was gentle but persistent. What do you want for yourself, Aurora? She looked at him then, really looked at the man who had once been the center of her world and then its greatest source of pain. I don't know anymore. For years, all I've thought about is being a good doctor and a good mother. There hasn't been room for anything else. Perhaps there could be, someday. Before she could formulate a response, Mia called from the car, Mom. Benjamin fell asleep already. I need to go, Aurora said, grateful for the interruption. Good night, Aurora. And thank you again. As she drove home, the triplets discussing Nathaniel's stories in the back seat, apart from Benjamin, who was indeed fast asleep, Aurora found herself considering his question. What did she want? Had she really forgotten how to want things for herself, beyond professional success and her children's happiness? The next few weeks fell into a new pattern. Nathaniel attended Thomas's science fair, where he won first prize, Benjamin's book club presentation, and Mia's piano recital. He brought thoughtful small gifts occasionally, never extravagant, always aligned with each child's interests. He remembered details from their conversations, followed up on their concerns, and gradually became a steady, reliable presence in their lives. Aurora watched this evolution with cautious optimism. The triplets were happier, more confident, somehow more complete with Nathaniel's presence. She couldn't deny the positive impact he was having. Then came the call that disrupted everything. It was 3 a.m. when Aurora's phone rang. She answered groggily, expecting a hospital emergency. "Dr. Bennett? It's Nathaniel. I'm sorry to wake you, but I didn't know who else to call." She sat up immediately, fully alert. "What's wrong?" "It's Bianca. She's gone into premature labor, and there are complications. She's asking for you." "For me?" Aurora couldn't have been more surprised. "Why would she want me there?" "She says you're the best, and she wants the best for the baby." His voice was tight with worry. "We're at Memorial Hospital. The baby's heartbeat is irregular, and they're talking about an emergency C-section." Aurora was already out of bed, pulling clothes from her closet. "I'll call Mrs. Young to come stay with the triplets. I can be there in 20 minutes. "Thank you, Aurora. I know it's a lot to ask. It's a child in danger, Nathaniel. I would never refuse." 30 minutes later, Aurora strode into Memorial Hospital's maternity ward, her professional demeanor firmly in place despite the surreal nature of the situation. She was about to attend the birth of her ex-husband's child with the woman who had tried to emotionally damage her children. Life had a twisted sense of irony. Nathaniel was pacing in the hallway outside Bianca's room, his face pale with worry. "Thank you for coming. The doctor says the umbilical cord may be compressed. They're monitoring, but if the baby's vitals drop any further, they'll do an emergency C-section." "Who's her OB?" "Dr. Patel. He's in with her now." Aurora nodded. Patel was excellent, one of the best in the city. "Why did she ask for me?" "We're hardly on friendly terms." Nathaniel ran a hand through his disheveled hair. "She's terrified, Aurora. Whatever her faults, she loves this baby. When the complications started, she said she wanted the best possible medical team, and that includes you. I'm a cardiac surgeon, not an obstetrician. But you're brilliant in a crisis. Everyone knows that." Before Aurora could respond, Dr. Patel emerged from Bianca's room. "Dr. Bennett? Thank you for coming. Mrs. Morgan is asking for you." With a deep breath, Aurora entered the room. Bianca lay on the hospital bed, her face contorted with pain, monitors beeping around her. She looked nothing like the polished, imperious woman who had confronted Aurora's children, just a frightened mother-to-be facing a medical crisis. "You came," Bianca said, surprise evident in her voice. "Of course I did. What's happening?" "The baby's heartbeat keeps dropping. They say the cord might be wrapped around her neck." Tears filled Bianca's eyes. "I know you hate me, and you have every right to, but please, help my daughter." The genuine fear and vulnerability in the other woman's face dissolved much of Aurora's lingering anger. This wasn't about their past conflicts, it was about an innocent child. "I'll do everything I can," Aurora promised, turning to the monitors to assess the situation for herself. The baby's heart rate was indeed concerning, dipping dangerously low during contractions. After consulting with Dr. Patel, Aurora agreed that an emergency C-section was the safest option. "We need to move quickly," she told Bianca. "The baby is in distress. Will you stay?" Bianca grasped Aurora's hand with surprising strength. "Please. I trust your judgment." "I'll stay," Aurora assured her, surprised by the request but unwilling to refuse when a child's life hung in the balance. Everything moved swiftly after that. Bianca was prepped for surgery, Nathaniel allowed in the operating room in full sterile gear, standing by his wife's head as Dr. Patel began the procedure with Aurora assisting. The tension in the room was palpable as Dr. Patel worked carefully but quickly. When he finally lifted the baby girl out, she was alarmingly silent, the umbilical cord wrapped twice around her tiny neck. "Cord's tight," he announced, quickly unwinding it. "Need resuscitation." Aurora stepped forward without hesitation, her hands steady as she worked on the newborn, her focus absolute. Everyone in the room seemed to hold their breath as she performed the delicate procedures needed to help the infant breathe. Long seconds ticked by with no response. Bianca sobbed quietly, and Nathaniel stood frozen, his face a mask of terror. Then, a tiny cough, followed by a lusty, angry wail. "She's breathing," Aurora announced, relief evident in her voice. Heart rate stabilizing. The joy that flooded Nathaniel's face in that moment, pure, unadulterated love and relief, was something Aurora recognized intimately. She had seen it reflected in her own face when the triplets were born. After ensuring the baby was stable, Aurora handed her to the waiting neonatal team for assessment. "She'll need monitoring in the NICU for a while, but her color is good, and her reflexes are strong. She's a fighter." "Thank you," Nathaniel whispered, his eyes never leaving his daughter. "Aurora, thank you." When Bianca was settled in recovery and the baby safely situated in the NICU, Aurora found Nathaniel in the waiting room, his head in his hands. "The pediatrician says she's going to be fine," Aurora told him, taking the seat beside him. "They want to keep her in the NICU for observation, but her vitals are strong now." Nathaniel looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to thank me. I'm a doctor, it's what I do. You saved my daughter's life after everything Bianca did to hurt your children. That goes far beyond professional duty." He shook his head in wonder. "How can you be so compassionate?" Aurora considered the question. "Because holding on to anger hurts me more than it hurts you or Bianca. And because no child should suffer for their parents' mistakes." They sat in silence for a moment before Nathaniel spoke again. "We're naming her Lily." Aurora looked at him in surprise. "That's a beautiful name. It was my grandmother's. Not the difficult one, my mother's mother. She was kind and gentle, everything I hope Lily will grow to be." He paused. "Bianca wants to meet with you, when she's feeling stronger. I think today has changed her perspective on many things." "I'm willing to talk with her," Aurora said, surprising herself with the realization that it was true. Witnessing Bianca's fear and vulnerability had humanized her in a way Aurora hadn't expected. "Thank you." Nathaniel hesitated. "Would it be all right if I told the triplets about their sister? I'd like them to know about her, even if they can't meet her right away." "Of course. They've been asking about the baby. They'll be relieved to know she's okay." Aurora stood. "I should get home. Mrs. Young has been with the children for hours." "Aurora." Nathaniel caught her hand. "What you did today, it means everything. Not just saving Lily, but being the person you are, compassionate and forgiving despite every reason not to be. I don't deserve your kindness, but I'm profoundly grateful for it." Aurora felt something shift inside her at his words, a loosening of the tight knot of resentment she'd carried for so long. Perhaps we've all been given a second chance today. 2 days later, Aurora brought the triplets to the hospital to meet their half-sister. She had debated the wisdom of this, but they had been insistent once they learned about Lily's difficult arrival and Aurora's role in saving her. "We want to see our sister," Thomas had declared. "She's our family too." Nathaniel met them in the hospital lobby, his face lighting up at the sight of all 3 triplets dressed in their best clothes, each carrying a small gift they had selected themselves. "Thank you for bringing them," he said to Aurora. "It means a lot." "They insisted," she replied with a small smile. "They're quite determined when they set their minds to something." "I wonder where they get that from," Nathaniel murmured, his eyes twinkling with shared humor. The NICU was quiet when they arrived, several tiny incubators housing premature babies. Lily had been moved to a regular bassinet, her condition stable enough that she no longer needed intensive monitoring. Nathaniel led them to where she lay, a tiny bundle with a shock of dark hair. "Children, this is your sister, Lily." The triplets crowded around, their faces a study in wonder. "She's so small," Mia whispered. "Smaller than my dolls." "She was born early," Aurora explained. "But she's strong and healthy." "She has your nose, Mr. Morgan," Benjamin observed. "Like Thomas does." "And she has tiny fingernails," Mia added in amazement. "Look how perfect they are." As the children marveled over their baby sister, a nurse approached Aurora. "Mrs. Morgan is asking if you would visit her room. She's feeling much better today." Aurora nodded, leaving Nathaniel with the children as she made her way to Bianca's private room. She found the new mother sitting up in bed, looking tired but much recovered from the ordeal of birth. "Dr. Bennett. Thank you for coming." Bianca gestured to a chair beside her bed. "Please, sit." Aurora took the offered seat, her professional demeanor in place. "How are you feeling?" "Better, now that Lily is out of danger." Bianca's hands twisted in the bedsheet. "I owe you an apology." "Several, in fact." The directness of the statement surprised Aurora. "You don't owe me anything." "I do." Bianca looked up, her expression earnest. "What I did to your children was unforgivable. I was jealous and afraid and lashing out in the worst possible way. Then you saved my daughter's life without hesitation, despite everything I've done." Her voice broke. "I don't know how you found that kind of grace, but I'm grateful for it." Aurora studied the woman before her, seeing past the designer nightgown and perfect manicure to the vulnerable new mother beneath. "We all make mistakes, especially when we're afraid of losing something precious. That's more understanding than I deserve." Bianca took a deep breath. "I want you to know that I won't interfere with Nathaniel's relationship with your children anymore. In fact, I'd like to make amends, if that's ever possible. Perhaps someday, your triplets and Lily could know each other as siblings without all this adult complication." "I think that would be good for all the children," Aurora agreed, surprised by Bianca's apparent transformation but willing to accept it at face value, at least provisionally. "There's something else you should know." Bianca's expression grew serious. "Nathaniel loves you. He never stopped loving you, not really. Our marriage was built on social compatibility and mutual goals, but never the kind of love he had with you." Aurora felt her heart skip at these words. That was a long time ago. Not for him. Bianca's smile was sad but genuine. "When he saw you again at the hospital, it was like watching someone wake from a long sleep. You don't have to believe me, but it's true." Before Aurora could formulate a response, Nathaniel appeared in the doorway, the triplets behind him. "Everything all right in here?" he asked, his expression concerned. "Everything's fine," Bianca assured him. "Dr. Bennett and I are finding some common ground." "The children wanted to give you something before we leave," Aurora said, motioning the triplets forward. Each child approached Bianca's bed shyly, presenting the small gifts they had brought: a handmade card from Mia with a painting of a family of stars, a tiny potted plant from Thomas, because hospitals need living things, and a story from Benjamin about a baby bird finding its family. Bianca accepted each gift with genuine tears in her eyes. "These are beautiful. Thank you." "We're sorry your tummy hurt when the baby came out," Mia said solemnly. "Mom says it's really hard work." Bianca laughed softly. "Your mom is right about that." "Will Lily come home soon?" Benjamin asked. "In a few days, if she keeps getting stronger." Bianca glanced at Nathaniel, then at Aurora. "Perhaps when she's settled, you could all visit her. If that would be all right with your mother." The triplets looked to Aurora expectantly. She nodded. "We'd like that." As they said their goodbyes and headed toward the elevator, Nathaniel walked with them, his expression thoughtful. "That went better than I could have hoped," he said quietly to Aurora. "Bianca seems genuinely changed by this experience." "Near-death experiences have a way of shifting perspectives," Aurora replied. "For everyone involved." In the parking garage, as the children climbed into Aurora's car, Nathaniel asked, "Could we talk sometime, just the two of us? There are things I need to say to you that aren't about the children or co-parenting arrangements." Aurora hesitated, knowing exactly what he meant. The atmosphere between them had been shifting subtly but steadily over the past weeks, old wounds beginning to heal, new understanding taking root. "All right," she agreed finally. "When Lily is home and settled, we can talk." 2 weeks later, with both Bianca and Lily thriving at home, Aurora agreed to meet Nathaniel at a quiet restaurant overlooking the bay. It was their first dinner alone together in 9 years, and the significance wasn't lost on either of them. "Thank you for meeting me," Nathaniel said as they were seated at a secluded table with a view of the sunset over the water. "I wasn't sure you would." "I wasn't sure either," Aurora admitted. "But we've come this far. It seemed right to hear what you have to say." Nathaniel took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "When my heart stopped on that boardroom floor, my life literally flashed before my eyes, not just images, but feelings, regrets, moments of joy and pain. And in that strange suspended state, I knew with absolute clarity that the greatest mistake of my life was letting you go." Aurora remained silent, allowing him to continue. "I don't expect you to forgive me, Aurora. What I did was cruel and selfish in ways I didn't even understand at the time. I let my grandmother's obsession with legacy and my own insecurities drive me to throw away the one person who truly loved me for myself. You hurt me deeply," Aurora acknowledged. "Not just with the divorce, but with the things you said, calling me defective, Barren. Those words cut deeper than you could have known. I know. And there's no excuse for it." His eyes held hers steadily. "But something miraculous happened despite my cruelty. 3 extraordinary children who carry the best parts of both of us. Children I didn't deserve but have been given the chance to know anyway, through your grace and forgiveness. They're remarkable, aren't they?" Aurora smiled, thinking of their triplets. "Every day they surprise me with their wisdom and compassion. They take after their mother." Nathaniel's voice softened. "Watching you with them, seeing the incredible life you've built, the distinguished career you've forged while raising 3 children alone, it's humbling, Aurora. You're the most remarkable person I've ever known." "I did what I had to do," she said simply. "For them, and for myself." "I know." He hesitated. "Aurora, I'm not asking for anything you don't want to give. I'm grateful beyond words for the chance to know our children, to be part of their lives in whatever capacity you're comfortable with. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I still love you. I never stopped, even when I convinced myself otherwise." Aurora felt her heart quicken at his words. "Nathaniel. Please, let me finish." His voice was gentle but determined. "I don't expect you to return those feelings. Too much has happened, too much damage has been done. But I want you to know that if there's ever a chance, any chance at all, for us to find our way back to each other, I would spend every day proving that I'm no longer the man who hurt you so carelessly." Aurora was silent for a long moment, processing his words, searching her own heart for the truth. "I don't know if I can trust you again," she said finally. "Not with my heart." "I understand." The disappointment in his eyes was evident, but he nodded acceptance. "I just needed you to know how I feel. But," she continued, "I'm willing to try friendship. Real friendship, built on honesty and mutual respect. For the children's sake, but also for our own." Hope flickered across his face. "I'd like that very much." "It won't be easy," she warned. "There's a lot of history between us, not all of it good. The best things rarely come easily." He smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Friendship is a good place to start." As they shared a meal and conversation that gradually relaxed into something approaching comfort, Aurora found herself remembering the man she had first fallen in love with, thoughtful, passionate, full of dreams and ambitions that had once aligned with her own. That man had been buried under years of family expectation and corporate pressure, but glimpses of him were emerging again, shaped and tempered by hard lessons and near tragedy. Over the following months, their friendship grew steadily, built on small shared moments, parent-teacher conferences attended together, birthday celebrations for the triplets, quiet conversations after the children were in bed. Nathaniel proved himself consistently reliable, patient, and genuinely interested in earning back her trust. Lily became a regular part of the triplets' lives, her half-siblings doting on her with protective affection. Even Bianca mellowed, her new motherhood softening edges that had once been razor-sharp. The complex family configuration that had once seemed impossible gradually found its own unique rhythm. 1 year to the day after Nathaniel's heart attack, the extended family gathered for a picnic in the park where he had first properly met the triplets. 9-year-old Thomas, Mia, and Benjamin ran around with boundless energy, taking turns pushing 1-year-old Lily in her stroller. Bianca sat chatting with her new boyfriend, a kind-hearted pediatrician she had met during Lily's checkups. Nathaniel and Aurora spread out the picnic blanket, working in comfortable tandem. "Hard to believe it's been a year," Aurora remarked, watching the children play. "The most important year of my life," Nathaniel replied. "Everything that matters began that day, finding you again, meeting our children, learning what truly matters." Aurora studied his face in the golden afternoon light. Over the past year, she had watched him transform from the cold, legacy-obsessed man who had broken her heart into someone capable of profound love, patience, and genuine selflessness. The change wasn't just in how he treated her, but in how he approached everything, his relationship with all his children, his business decisions, his priorities. "You really have changed," she said softly. "Having your heart literally stop will do that." His smile was rueful. "But the greater catalyst was seeing what I'd thrown away, you, the triplets, the chance at a real family built on love rather than obligation." Aurora reached out impulsively, taking his hand. "I'm glad you got a second chance." "So am I." His fingers tightened around hers. "Aurora, I know we agreed on friendship, and I've respected those boundaries. But I need to ask, is there any possibility of something more between us? Not now, necessarily, but someday." She looked at their joined hands, then up at the children playing nearby, tangible evidence of the bond that would always connect them, regardless of past mistakes. Over the past year, she had watched him with their children, seen his unwavering commitment, witnessed his genuine growth. The wall around her heart, built brick by painful brick after their divorce, had slowly but steadily crumbled. "I think," she said carefully, "that second chances come in many forms. Sometimes they're dramatic, like saving someone's life on an operating table. And sometimes they're quieter, like learning to trust again, day by day, moment by moment." Hope flickered in his eyes. "Does that mean?" "It means I'm open to possibilities," she said, squeezing his hand. "I can't promise more than that right now." "That's more than enough," he assured her. "I'm a very patient man these days." "Since when?" she teased, the lightness in her tone revealing how far they had come. "Since I learned that the most precious things in life can't be rushed or forced, they have to be nurtured and earned." He smiled at her, the afternoon sun highlighting the silver at his temples. "And you, Dr. Bennett, are absolutely worth waiting for." As they sat together, watching their unique, blended family enjoy the simple pleasure of a summer day, Aurora felt something settle in her heart, not the fiery passion of their first love, but something deeper and more enduring. A love tempered by pain and forgiveness, stronger for having been broken and carefully, intentionally rebuilt. Sometimes the most profound healing didn't come from a surgeon's skilled hands, but from the courage to face past wounds and begin again. Sometimes hearts that had been shattered could be repaired, stronger at the broken places. And sometimes, the greatest second chances came disguised as our greatest challenges, waiting for us to find the courage to embrace them. 6 months later, as the winter holidays approached, Aurora stood in her kitchen watching Nathaniel help the triplets decorate gingerbread houses. Flour dusted his expensive sweater, and icing smeared his hands, but he didn't seem to mind as he helped Benjamin construct a precarious candy cane chimney. "Mom, come see," Mia called. "We're making our dream house." Aurora moved closer, noting the detailed architecture and creative embellishments. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. Very imaginative. It has 6 bedrooms," Thomas explained practically. "One for each of us, plus one for Lily when she visits, and one for guests." "That's very thoughtful planning," Aurora replied, catching Nathaniel's eye over the children's heads. Later, after the children had gone to bed, exhausted from their creative efforts, Aurora and Nathaniel sat on her porch swing, watching snowflakes drift lazily through the night air. "They asked if we were going to live together," Nathaniel said quietly. "All of us, as a family." "What did you tell them?" "That it was a complicated grown-up decision that we were still figuring out." He glanced at her. "I hope that was okay." "It was perfect." She pulled her sweater tighter against the cold. "They've been asking me the same question." "And what do you tell them?" Aurora turned to face him fully. "That some of the best things in life take time and patience. That rebuilding trust is like healing from surgery, it can't be rushed, even when you want it to." Wise words. His expression was thoughtful as he reached for her hand. "Aurora, I know I promised to be patient, and I meant it. I'll wait as long as it takes. But I need you to know that my feelings haven't changed. If anything, they've deepened over these months of getting to know each other again." Aurora studied his face in the soft porch light, seeing the man she had first loved, the man who had broken her heart, and the man who had spent the past year and a half proving he had truly changed. The walls around her heart had crumbled completely, replaced by something stronger, not blind trust, but a clear-eyed faith built on demonstrated commitment and genuine growth. "Nathaniel," she said softly, "I think I'm ready to stop waiting." His breath caught. "What are you saying?" Instead of answering with words, Aurora leaned forward and kissed him, gently at first, then with growing certainty. His arms came around her, holding her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. When they finally separated, his eyes were bright with emotion. "I love you, Aurora Bennett. I always have, even when I didn't deserve to." "I love you too," she whispered. "Not despite our past, but including it. Everything we've experienced has led us here, to this moment, to the people we've become." 6 months later, under a canopy of spring blossoms in Aurora's backyard, they exchanged vows for the second time, not the traditional promises of their first wedding, but words crafted from hard-won wisdom and genuine understanding. "I promise to see you for who you truly are," Nathaniel vowed, "not for what you can give me, but for the remarkable person you've always been." "I promise to believe in growth and second chances," Aurora responded, knowing that our greatest challenges can lead to our most meaningful connections. The triplets stood beside them, no longer flower girl and ring bearers as in conventional weddings, but equal participants in the creation of their reunited family. Little Lily toddled between her half-siblings, a living bridge between past and present. Bianca sat in the front row with her pediatrician fiancé, her relationship with Aurora having evolved into an unexpected friendship born of shared experiences and mutual respect. The complex tapestry of their blended family had found a pattern that worked, built on honesty, forgiveness, and the central priority of all the children's well-being. That evening, as they danced under string lights in the garden, Nathaniel held Aurora close. "Any regrets?" he murmured against her hair. She thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment, the pain of their separation, the years of building separate lives, the shock of his heart attack, the gradual rebuilding of trust, and finally, this new beginning. "Just one," she replied. "That it took your heart stopping for you to truly find it." He smiled, acknowledging the truth in her gentle teasing. "Well, you are a cardiac specialist. Perhaps you knew all along that some hearts need to be broken before they can be properly healed." "Perhaps," she agreed, resting her head against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of the heart she had repaired, first with her surgical skill, and then with something far more powerful, the courage to forgive and begin again. Around them, their children laughed and danced, untouched by the weight of adult mistakes and regrets, living proof that sometimes life's greatest miracles emerge from its deepest wounds. The triplets Nathaniel had never known existed had become the center of his world. The wife he had discarded as defective had become his saving grace, literally and figuratively. As the evening stars appeared overhead, Aurora reflected on the strange and winding path that had led them here. Sometimes the most profound second chances came disguised as our greatest tragedies. Sometimes the hearts that needed the most healing weren't the ones beneath a surgeon's skilled hands. And sometimes, the people who hurt us most deeply were also the ones capable of the most remarkable transformation. The ruthless billionaire who had once measured love in terms of legacy had learned the hardest lesson, that the greatest legacy wasn't found in corporate empires or family names, but in the hearts you touch and the lives you help shape. And sometimes, the most precious gifts come from what you once rejected as worthless. If you've been touched by this story of forgiveness and second chances, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us that it's never too late to heal, to grow, and to find love again. Share this video with someone who might need to be reminded that sometimes, our greatest mistakes can lead to our most beautiful beginnings. The heart is a resilient organ, designed to keep beating even after it's been broken. Tell me in the comments, do you believe everyone deserves a second chance? Or are some mistakes too great to forgive?